And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to session 4 of Code Live with Google Cloud. I'm Aaron Wanjala, still the Java developer advocate, and I'm here with Mark.
Hello again. I'm Mark Mandel, tech lead for developer relations for gaming on Google Cloud. I don't know. It's a Wednesday afternoon. My brain's not working.
Yeah. And I apologize. I'm still getting over a bit of illness, so my voice might be a little bit rough. We're going to take it slow. I'm going to drink some tea as we go. But I'm very excited to talk about the topic for today.
Wonderful.
You may have seen my posts on social media about it. We're going to be talking about Liquibase. Now, Mark,
Fancy.
are you at all familiar with Liquibase? I think we've talked about it a little bit, but
I want to say I've used it. I haven't used it. I've worked on a project where somebody did liquid-based stuff.
right.
There we go. How's that?
I've used it a fair bit. It's one of the tools that I'm most excited about showing people as a developer. It really feels like one of these tools that allows you to make good on the promise of keeping your application deployable in a very real way by letting you actually write your database changes into source control and version them. And
Okay.
that is easier said than done. It requires some change management on the team side, but it is a very powerful tool when implemented properly. And so hopefully what I'll be doing is communicating the value of Liquibase. And
Cool.
then we may try it out locally, or we may just jump straight to trying it out on Spanner, because in my day, I've used Liquibase a lot, integrated with an application, embedded as a Spring Bean in an application, and that's a great way to go about it. But in keeping with trying things out for the first time on stream, I wanted to try implementing this in Spanner specifically, because I've heard there's a Spanner connection. I've seen that we have a little bit of a guide, but I haven't gotten my hands on it myself. And so we're just going to go through the experience of doing that and seeing what it's like to run Liquibase in the cloud. So, and we're going to do it together.
Maybe a silly question. Is it
Yeah.
liquid base or is it liquid base?
Not at all a silly question, a great question. And
It's liquid base. All right, I just did it, spelled it wrong on all my social medias.
oh, fair enough. Yeah, it is Liquibase. Yeah, so no D. And they have great tooling. They're an open source project.
Cool.
They are a Java project. Another thing I like about them.
Yep.
And because of that, it plays really well with Java tooling, like build tools like Maven. And the first step to get started, if you want to try following along at home, I would say is getting it installed. They offer us both a standalone, like you could install it as a package, as like a Maven jar. You could install it as a CLI tool, which is what we'll be trying today.
Interesting. Okay. Yep.
And then there are also extensions to have it play with other databases. Like there is some Spanner glue code that has been made that we'll be using here. So
you got me wondering, how did we do it? Anyway, ignore.
Yeah,
me. It's
I'm guessing probably as a library.
Oh, you know what we did? We used the Docker file.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
That's a good way to do it too. You can. So Liquibase essentially is just a way to run pre-formatted SQL statements. And you can do that as a task before deployment. You can do that as a task on application startup, or you can do it like through a CLI manually, however you want to do it. It has great support for different databases. I believe it supports a few of our databases, BigQuery and Spanner being a couple of them.
I just saw BigQuery scroll past on the screen, so that looks like that's there.
Oh, good. So I'm not lying. And then so what I did before stream here is install the Liquibase CLI, which is a great way to get started, have it actually on your machine. But when you actually install the CLI, let me move over to my IDE. It also helpfully supplies a list of a folder.
Let's make that bigger. Let's see that. There we go. Okay, cool.
It helpfully supplies a folder of examples.
Ooh.
And so we'll be talking through these as well. But first off, Liquibase allows you to, it introduces the concept of change logs. And so if you think, for example, of an application that you have, like say our pet shop, right? When we had our pet shop and we had a set of UI elements, and they all key off of different records in the database, and you add a feature that requires backing in the database, but you don't. It may be like an after. It may be mentioned in the ticket that you have to make this database change for it to work. But if something was working before your change, and then you deploy the change and it's not working, now somebody has to go back through the broken state of your database not correlating to the app, and find out how to do that. Rather than having to piece things together with your database and your application being separate services, this allows you to treat your database as a backing service, which like the first example that comes to mind for me is a 12-factor app. I believe it's one of the, like, treating your application as a backing service is the fourth factor. It allows you to really just treat your application as a separate service that does not actually require special handling when you're deploying your application. And that's what I mean by making good on the promise of keeping your app deployable and making it sturdy and reliable at all stages.
It almost feels like the Terraform or the YAML declarative, like, give me this is what I want.
Yeah.
You work out how to get there in between.
Yeah, it really is. And it allows you to work in different dialects and yeah.
Oh, I hadn't actually thought of that. So it's like it's also an abstraction layer for, like, okay, I want this sort of table format in Postgres, but I could be like, change my adapter. I've got it in the declarative format that Liquibase wants, which we'll look at that, I'm sure, in a sec. But then I could point it to a completely different database and still have the same sort of table format, in theory, with some caveats probably in place.
Yes, absolutely. And so what I want to talk through a bit first is the idea of creating change sets. So rather than making your database changes manually, you would instead have a change log. And so when building an application, it may be on application startup. It may be as a deployment step before you deploy the application. You would have this change log applied to your database.
Okay.
And so what Liquibase does is it we'll probably be able to see this when it's running in Postgres in a little bit here on Spanner, but it applies a lock to the database to make sure that only one version of Liquibase is applying changes to the database at a time.
Oh, okay.
And then it executes these change sets in the change log in order. So here we have the first change set. They are given unique IDs. You can just enter them yourself. You can also add authors to make it a little bit more orderly to keep track of who's doing what.
Oh, interesting. So this is actually less declarative and more imperative. It's like, do this thing, make this change, make this change, make this change, rather than like, this is what I want my data to look like. Do a diff for me and make sure that it happens the way I want it to.
So interestingly, you bring up diffing, because there are some features like that. But yes, it is quite imperative. It's like you can just state what you want it to do in either XML or YAML. I believe you're more familiar with the YAML.
I've seen the YAML.
Okay.
So somewhat more familiar in that direction.
Fair enough. But yeah, whether you want to use YAML or XML, I find it pretty approachable because there is this helpful samples directory, which I believe when you install it from the CLI, it's in user local options Liquibase samples or examples. So it does offer you some examples of a blank change log, which is a helpful starting point, an example change log that shows you some important concepts, primary keys, auto incrementing. It is typically leaning towards plain SQL, but there are also plugins and packages that allow you to use different dialects.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
So importantly, what I want to do here is configure our Liquibase CLI to connect to our Spanner database. I've just put together a very simple Spanner database inspired by our first episode in the season. It's just a pet database with a few simple columns.
Let's make that bigger, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a bit better. There we go. We have some dogs. And cats too. I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
And so yeah, we have a simple database here. And so what I want to do is configure Liquibase to target this Spanner instance as its source. And then we're going to, so, the idea of being able to like have Liquibase and write out your change logs in like neat little create like table creations and having like inserts and alterations. nicely laid out in version control may sound nice, but it can be daunting to start that with an already existing database that may or may not be well maintained. And so what I recommend as a first step, usually for people adopting Liquibase, is that you take a database, you generate a change log from your existing database. It can take
that was what I was going to ask. Okay,
yeah,
I can do that for you. Okay, nice.
You can take a snapshot, and it'll give you a usable change log, and then you can use that as a starting point for your database. And if you need to restore to it, that's an option. So, yeah, let's go through our materials on how to get that started.
So I guess that's also your point about diffing too, right? So if you have a change log that I'm guessing has already been applied in some way, that becomes a no-op?
Yes. Ideally, if you have a change log that's already been applied and you diff between the change log and the running instance of your database, it should say no diff. And also there is some hashing logic that goes on. If we have time, I intentionally, left a bunch of time for us to just kind of explore and see what's interesting. We could, since it's open source, we could actually go into the main source for Liquibase and look at their hashing logic in Java. That would be interesting. Because it also generates hashes for which changelogs have been run and which ones haven't. So we have a very helpful guide on how to integrate Spanner with Liquibase, which we'll be walking through here.
Cool.
And because I already have the Spanner instance created, I'm just going to insert the project ID and the instance name, which I believe is, versioned Spanner. And then the database is going to be Liquibase example. And yes, so now I need to edit my Liquibase properties. Liquibase CLI, edit Liquibase properties. It may be that I just have to go and edit it in the installation folder, but let's see if they have any documentation about that. No, it doesn't seem so. So I'm just going to go ahead and edit the actual property here. Also, the Liquibase CLI is, let me know if you can see this. Quite nice. It's one of these rather visual.
Go bigger, please. Bigger, bigger. Keep going. A little more. That's better.
Good. And maybe I can give it a more solid background. Yes.
That would also help a little. Interesting. You've gone the blurred transparency.
That is my usual terminal. So yes, when we can see Liquibase is installed here. So yeah, we're just going to connect it to our running instance and get going. Oh yeah, remind me later, Mark. One other thing I want to try is seeing how effective Gemini Code Assist is at generating Liquibase change sets or helping us write change sets.
Got it.
All right. Okay. So if I go Liquibase init.
Okay, so that'll create like the bits and pieces we need.
Yes. See, just making sure that I'm in the right folder here. I'm not. Repos. Liquibase. Yes. Liquibase init. Missing required subcommand. So Liquibase init project new. And by default, it will try to push me towards creating blank changelog samples to run on an H2 in-memory database.
So
not sure.
Something you would be running locally, essentially, I guess, at that point.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, cool.
And a lot of my time testing with Liquibase has been running on H2 databases, but when we're running on Spanner, I'd really like to be able to just do my work in there, especially if I'm in a test region. So we're gonna, unless it's not working at all, we're gonna just stay away from the H2 database and work in Spanner as much as possible. Because I think that's more interesting.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Also, we have a Spanner database, and we have cloud privilege, so we don't have to pay for it.
Exactly. So it's saying, do you want to set up new Liquibase properties, a flow file, and a sample changelog? Yes. Actually, no. Let me go through the customization because I want to specifically do XML. So
why do you want to do XML versus YAML?
That's a great question. I feel like YAML is more human readable.
Is it because you hate YAML? Is that what it is? You hate it?
I don't hate YAML.
Heard it here first. Aaron hates YAML.
I've used a lot more. I've spent a lot more time working with XML. And
Java developers.
Yes, I'm kind of speaking to my Java developer community. If you want to put this into your project, I want it to be as approachable as possible. So,
got it. I see. Yeah. Still writing XML for all your dependency management?
I am.
Oh boy.
So let's name this changelog sample file to pets. Pets changelog. This is another typical house style thing. Usually you'll have like changelog, database changelog dash default, or some sort of convention for your changelogs. Maybe it's project based. Totally up to you. For choosing XML, I thought that it may not be the default. And yeah, default Liquibase properties, the JDBC URL to be used. So we already prepared that in the documentation a minute ago. And so this is really interesting. I'm kind of impressed that by default, without having to configure anything on Liquibase, there is already a running Java database connector for Spanner. So I guess that's just running on the instance that we spin up.
That would make sense, though. Like you would want if you have a database, you'd want a JDBC connector. Like,
I guess a lot of things would use it. I'm always just used to having to put things together myself as I deploy. So I'm always, I'm easily impressed when things are there for me. But we're gonna enter our JDBC URL. Username. That's a great question.
That's a great question. Does it give it to you in there as part of the JDBC URL or not?
No. I'm gonna go with the defaults and see how that goes. Otherwise, I may have to supply a service account for this. But anyways, here we are with our default files. And so it should be created in this folder. Let me refresh from disk. Repos Liquibase. Open repos Liquibase. There we are. Yes. So we have our Liquibase properties. We have our Liquibase command URL.
Okay.
And we have our command reference URL, which is pointing at H2, which is interesting, but I don't think that matters because this is the main URL. So it started a changelog for us based on the examples changelog, but we're going to be blowing this away and building our own to make some changes to our pet shop. First thing I want to do, though, is just make sure that I'm connected to the same database by generating a changelog based on this, like from this URL. So let's go ahead and try that.
So, okay, so basically we're just like, okay, does this work?
Yes, I want to make sure that I'm connected to the right database, and then we can start playing around. Cool. There is a permissions issue possibly to clear out here, so it'll actually be, there's a little bit of intrigue here. Liquibase, I remember the command for Java. On Maven, it was Liquibase :generate changelog. I don't know if it's going to be the same casing or anything, or if I have to specify the database. But okay, I have to specify an output file. What's the syntax for that? overwrite output file. Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, so you're gonna put it in where it was before?
Yes, I'm gonna overwrite the output file here.
Bum bum.
Runtime exception. Driver class was not specified and could not be determined from the URL.
Ooh.
Is that so? We did that. The driver class is right here, JDBC. So
Right.
it may be that.
I still remember some of this stuff vaguely.
Oh, you know what? The syntax was a little bit different there. It used a colon instead of an equal sign.
I missed that, but I believe you.
Nope, that didn't seem to be it. We are in here. There are properties. I wonder if it is trying to pull from the second source.
So I'm looking at the command that you have for generate changelog, and I'm looking at the Liquidbase page, and it says take a snapshot of your existing database, and it actually says changelog file.
Oh. Like you have to supply the changelog file.
It's the quick start page.
Yes. We try that. Changelog file.
One word, no hyphens. I don't, or maybe it'll translate it. Same like camel casing.
Okay, let's try that. Nope. Same issue. Driver class was not specified.
Okay.
Well, let's see what that means.
Anyone in chat have any ideas?
Yeah, feel free. JDBC URL.
What am I looking for?
Host port. A host and port here.
Here we go. The problem was with my reference URL and the Liquidbase properties.
Okay, so that is
Stack Overflow.
That is a factor then. So I'll make sure to set that to the same thing as our command URL. Still getting the same driver class file. So that is the same colon spanner.
Here we go.
DC colon spanner. JDBC cloud spanner : / That is exactly what we're using.
Why do I keep reading stuff about Hibernate models? Is this using Hibernate under the hood?
I believe it is. Yeah.
Oh my god, this takes me back. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I've never, I believe you do need it as a transitive dependency.
So reference URL, I'm seeing a lot as Hibernate Spring, like da 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 da. Like, what's your?
I wouldn't have thought that we would
dialect, but that feels like overkill to me.
Yes. Especially. There we are.
Did you specify the file in what the name of the file is in your properties file?
I did for the changelog file.
Yeah. Okay, so you probably. Oh, I see. That's why you did the override thing. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Tried the override. Tried the changelog file. So let me try actually temporarily deleting that file. Okay.
Same
no,
issue.
this is the yeah, it is the driver exception that is our issue. Interesting. And I do have. I mean, I've.
Ooh, interesting. Is there a class path on that?
A class path on the URL?
On the properties file.
No.
Do we need to pull in the JDBC driver to be like, here's the spanner JDBC driver?
I wouldn't have thought we would have. I thought that would be with the CLI installation because it's able to execute other liquid-based commands.
I see.
Right. Property file, course paths and properties.
I'm just looking at their quick start, and when it says configure liquid base, there is a class path, and it does point to the Postgres. Basically, they've got a URL, username, password, class path.
Interesting. Let me actually go back to the quick start here. So we have liquid base.
Right.
And
oh, interesting. It does say that your liquid-based.properties configuration can contain only this property. So we're going to try deleting everything else.
We can try that. Yeah, I think it's that's all it necessarily needs. By can contain only, I think they mean like this is a valid file if that's the only thing you have in it.
Oh, it's also going to ask you what file to put it in. But anyway, okay. Nope, definitely doesn't know what it is. Yeah. If you see the Google Quick Start, right under it says liquid base property files, and then it says navigate to the spanner liquid base extension releases page on GitHub and select the latest release. Select and download the jar file with the name liquid base spanner. Place the jar in the liquid base lib directory.
No, you do need that. Okay.
There we go. I also wonder if you could just class path it in the properties file, but
we probably could. But let's just go ahead and follow that.
Yeah, reading documentation is useful.
Yeah. Yes. That explains how the spanner JDBC jar is supplied. Yes. So download anyway. And we'll place it in lib. There we are. All right. Now let's try our luck with that. It's something else. Jar state contains the extension.
Ooh, okay, that's different.
Cloud Spanner could not be instantiated, could not load service. Provider, liquid base extension, Cloud Spanner cannot be instantiated.
What do we got? It's caused by no class def found error.
Class not found. Yeah. URL class loader.
We definitely got the right thing. We pulled down the.
We have now the liquid base spanner 4251.
Yep. Did you get the all or did you get the jar?
Let's see. No, that is the jar.
Why don't you grab the all?
Let's do that.
I'm guessing it has all the dependencies. I remember Java stuff. Yeah, no, it does specifically say get the all one on the quick start.
Definitely does. Reading documentation.
Woot.
Thank you again.
That's right. I remember Java stuff. I feel very proud of myself.
You should.
It's probably been 10 years. Which is entertaining to say that not much has changed. I mean, I'm sure it's very different.
It's nicer to write. I enjoy it. Okay, here we are. Permission denied. That makes sense. Cloud Spanner API is not used in the project. That's the wrong project ID. So let's make my gcloud auth correct. I mean, I'm logged in. I don't have the right project. Config.
That's an interesting question. Is the project not part of like the URL or?
It is. It is part of the URL.
But I guess
it's actually interesting where it got that.
Where does it get that from? I guess it's probably application default credentials or something.
It really might be from my Google Cloud Auth login.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Okay. Still the wrong project. Let's try an auth login.
Yeah, where's that project coming from?
Yes. Fantastic. And now my current project is 1. That's exactly what I would have expected. But then as I start it, it seems to think I'm set to 6. There is a gcloud command to check your configured projects.
Yeah, gcloud config list. Show you config information.
That's the right one.
Project's right. It's your Unix account. Okay. Do you want to double check your JDBC string just in case? Yeah, that looks right too.
Version spanner. No.
What?
I don't know where it's getting that. That's interesting.
Where is it getting that from?
Let's see.
Because the JDBC project.
Oh, no. There's no way.
Paste your change log, snapshot.xml. You are in the right folder with the right properties file in your terminal.
I would be shocked if I wasn't, but yes, I am in the right folder. Repos liquidbase. And the properties file actually only specifies the command.
Okay.
That's correct, yeah.
Are there any other files in there that specify a project?
No.
I wouldn't have thought so, but that's the only other thing I can think of.
Yeah, this is bizarre.
Anything in pets changelog.xml at this point in time?
No, just the example from
Got it.
the local base installation.
Huh.
So anyways, I wonder if it's somehow if it's somehow displaying the right error about the wrong project. So let me just go ahead and enable that API, the Cloud Spanner API.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Here's an API.
I am using I have.
No, you're using Cloud Spanner.
I have the Spanner Studio open, so that can't be the right error about the wrong project.
Anyone on chat having ideas? Wow, that's weird. Okay.
It really does think I'm using the wrong project.
I wouldn't have thought it would have picked it up from. Okay.
I wonder if there's a way that Liquibase picked it up, like from my auth login. Otherwise, I'll do an auth log out and auth log back in.
It seems silly.
Yeah. But when you run out of reasonable stuff, you start trying silly stuff.
It's true.
Well,
how is Liquibase authenticating?
I believe it's just using my application. I mean, for like connecting to my Spanner instance, it's trying to use a username and password, which will be wrong, but that's a different permissions.
Then, and let's go to error when permission denied. Cloud Spanner API has not been used. Push it to 6. Okay, that's right. That's weird. Just trying to see what's in some of my projects.
I do also have a credentials like key file that I can use, but
it seems icky.
It's icky, and it could work as a backup, but I'd like to find a more intuitive CLI way to authenticate here.
Do you want to just do a search in that folder, like a grep or something, for cooking with Duet with 6?
Yes.
Just for giggles, or cooking with Duet, and see what all the last things come up.
Yeah. Do I have ag installed? No. Let me go with find. Nothing related to find. Nothing. No files related to find. But let me do like
just do a grep -r.
Cooking at all.
We can do that one. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to show up. Okay. I am also very confused.
This is an interesting one. And when I ran the init project, I don't think that specified any. No. That's all right. Is it something in?
So confused.
Nothing with cooking with Duet.
Yeah, it's the same, right?
Yeah, just the one, which is what we would expect. Yeah, interesting. Well, we'll take this. Spanner.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for too.
Yes, project. Oh, it's the application default login. That would probably be why. That's I do often forget that application default login sets a different credential path than off login. One logs into the gcloud CLI, right? And then the other one logs you into like prepares.
So I use gcloud configurations a lot, and I don't think that's why I probably run into this, because I'm not switching projects inside of individual configuration. I will jump configurations, which have the whole set of stuff in there. And I find that a much easier way of doing it. Also, I can set configurations to the same name as my projects, which makes life easy.
Yeah, I can see why you'd find that easier than forgetting about the application default credentials chain constantly.
That looks better. Here we go.
So we've executed our first database changelog here. So our snapshot.xml. Okay, it captured the structure of the database. Okay. We have the schema here. So it correctly interpreted
in XML.
In XML, as configured, perfectly. Now, I was expecting it to also supply the inserts to recreate the current data in the database.
Does it actually do that? Does Liquidbase can do both structure and data as well?
I believe I've done that. Let me look up the generate changelog reference. Liquidbase generate changelog with data. Yeah. Because you can use it to fully like snapshot and replay your databases. Let me make this bigger. And generate changelog, yes. We will do different diff types in a little bit. But No. Let me see if I can look through the help here. Liquibase, generate, changelog, help. Current state of the database, yes. Data output directory. Exclude objects, no. Include objects. It may be the include objects flag.
Yeah, try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Include objects. And then maybe a couple things after that. Liquibase, generate, changelog, include objects. No, it's specifying table names as an object, which is not what I was after. Now, we may have to come back to this. I won't spend too much time on trying to.
Here we go. Diff types data.
Okay, let's try that.
That's what I found from, how long ago was this? 2017. I don't know. Okay. Oops, something happened.
It failed on.
Oh, because it already exists.
It doesn't want me to overwrite. What was that overwrite command again?
Or just rename it.
Okay. So here I think we're running into a syntactic issue or a dialect issue because we don't have any other configurations in our Liquibase properties. And you have a quote in your select star, which is fair. I believe that quotes aren't necessary for Google SQL. It is a Google SQL database. So let's change that dialect. Liquibase.
Okay, yeah, I see this. Okay.
Actually, maybe I should ask Gemini if it has an idea here. It's a long shot. But let's see. No, don't just suggest random. Let me say configure Liquibase dialect to Google SQL.
What does it do?
No, I think it suggested. A property that was roughly right. Yeah, command SQL dialect. I think that looks roughly right.
Okay.
But let's see. Let's see if that's actually. Let me guess and check here. Google SQL. The SQL. No. Liquibase. Properties. Reference.
I can't find it.
No. Well, no. Another dialect. No. You also have the ability to specify the SQL dialect per change set, but that seems tedious. So I'm really hoping.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. That seems like not a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Why don't we?
Postgres. Nope, didn't spell that right.
That's not what I want.
Not quite.
Okay, actually, put base property file reference. That's really the way to go.
Yeah, I searched for the same thing and didn't have great luck, but I did find the reference for the setting the change type per change set, which is not what we're after. It would work in a pinch, but we can do better.
Enter reference password.
Liquibase.
So, is reference driver what we want? Specify the driver class name for the source. No, sorry, I didn't know. No. Oh, sorry. Reference URL specifies the source database for performing comparisons.
Interesting.
No, I don't know if we want that either.
No, we'll set that later when we're doing diffs.
But I feel like I saw that somewhere, and part of it was the dialect. I could be wrong. Let's see if I can find something in here.
In the meantime, let me see. I would have thought that it would pick it up actually as it made the snapshot.
Apparently not.
Yeah, no. Well, cloud SQL. CLI users. We have that. We have the driver. We've configured the connection. Are there any other properties here? We don't need the socket factory. Well, that's
yeah. This is a socket factory.
No, that does seem like if you're creating connections like in a pool, it should be embedded in the app, but that's okay. We can move along with the setting the change type, setting the database management system on the change type. It lists.
Well, it's probably fine too, given that you're only kind of doing it once, I guess.
Yeah, we're not doing a whole lot here, and it does list Postgres as a valid option. It doesn't have Google SQL listed on this page, but Google SQL is a superset of Postgres, right? So we should be okay.
So it should be okay. All right, let's do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Get her done. Let's do it.
So, yeah, why don't we just go ahead and try to write our first additional change set, our first actual change to the database here.
Now, if we make a change here, I assume all that data is going to be okay.
Yes, especially if we're doing something like an alter or an insert, we should be totally fine.
Cool.
Yes. This is something that you can do with a database that is up and running. So yeah, let's move back to our pets change log XML and start creating our first change set. So let's add a Boolean field to our database that lets us know if our pet has been chipped or not at the vet.
Cool. I hope so.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your pets chipped, so if they ever get lost, they come back to you.
Absolutely. So using our snapshot as an example here, we can see that we have, ID, breed, age, fantastic. And we'd just like to, this is a great time to see if Gemini can write the change set for me. So it'll be an alter table, but let me give it the example of
so much XML.
Alter, yes. Alter table pets to include an is chipped column. Yes. Nope. Chipped column. And go.
Is that right?
It's close. I believe we're missing one. Oh, I wanted to take that. I believe we're missing one nesting. We're missing one like nesting tag, but let me go check the reference here. Or we may actually even have that in the folder here because we're in the examples folder. So if I just search for column, alter table. No?
No. Doesn't like you.
It really doesn't.
Oh, you deleted that example file, I think.
I did bring it back. The snapshot. Yeah. I did bring it back. But yeah, add column is valid.
Cool.
But it should be nested in an altered table. No, I guess not.
Yeah.
Okay, add column. Let's see. Change that, add column. Let's properly format this.
Oh, so interesting. Hold on. I'm just trying to. So you've got multiple XML files in the same directory. It's not just like one big long file.
So that is a matter of house style as well. You can have one DB master change log,
right?
That lists other change logs, and then when you apply it to the database, you just run the master change log, and then that runs all of the change sets that it contains.
Yep.
That's one way to lay it out. Other dev shops prefer to have change sets as small as possible. You'll have one change set folder, and then you'll include change sets that are tied to a deploy as a deploy step. So you'll say, maybe in your Jenkins instance, you'll have a way to specify, I need to run this change log with this deploy.
Okay, so you're not ever just going to apply the whole thing, or you might apply the whole thing. It just depends on how you want to do it. Is that
both? Yes, it depends on how you do it. Generally, I would say that you want to keep your master changelog, if you have a master or main changelog, deployable. You want to make sure that everything in there is ready to be run and rerun for the life of the application.
Got it.
But if you want to do something like a one-off migration or like change to prepare a report, I've seen a lot of use cases where we just want to have one deploy that runs this one changelog.
Got it.
But yeah, adding this column does look reasonable. Default value Boolean. I don't think default value Boolean is a proper property, but default value.
Actually, you've got all the XML schema stuff. Why don't you import that so that you can actually get like error messages and stuff?
So we have some suggestions coming in, but yeah, why don't we?
Just looking at the fact that those are all red and like they've got to be able to fetch external resource.
Fetch external resource. Let's see. Will you actually give me?
Here we go. I remember XML stuff too.
Let's see.
Now it's complaining.
Inserts a name.
Because you've got a change set inside a change set?
That could be it, actually. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess Gemini did insert another change set. There we go.
There we go. But now we get some nice completion.
Excellent. That is nice. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe it'll be able to suggest things like now add. Yes. So we can. There we go. Yeah, that is nice.
Nice.
And so yeah, we also have within Liquibase. Usually I'm running it as a build tool, but I'm assuming also in the CLI we can run a check. We can run a dry run on our change set to see if it would be valid.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. That's a good peace of mind.
Yeah. Now, what is the command for that? Liquibase help dry grep valid. I think there's a way to validate XML changelog files. Yeah, Liquibase validate pets-changelog.xml. It actually doesn't have two S's.
It's Liquibase. Yeah.
Okay.
Unexpected arguments. I think you. Oh, do you need to specify it as -- validate XML changelog files? Oh my god.
I think the grep kind of messed me up there. But let me
just type help at the end, yeah, and then we'll see what happens.
Let me just see what happens there. Changelog file is required.
So like you would with everything else, you always have to specify the changelog file.
I think actually let me just try running it without, because it should pull it from the property, shouldn't it? I thought I had that in the properties. I got rid of it.
No, we got rid of it. We could put it in there. It would save us a bunch of time, probably.
Yeah. Now, what was it before?
Did it give you doesn't give you
suggestions?
Suggestions.
I think it would actually. Now, do you mean code assist or just the IDE?
Let's find out. There we go. There it is. Yeah, it's right there. Changelog file. Code assist.
Yes. All right. Pets-changelog.
Did you just change your microphone?
I hope not. Do I sound different?
You sound a little different. I can hear your fan or something. Maybe it's better now.
Let's see. Microphone is still set.
Okay. That was weird. Okay. Coming off mute just did strange things. Anyway, not important. All right, cool.
There we are. Let's see if we can do this without having to specify the file every time now.
Save us some time. That's looking promising.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it's taking a little longer than I would have expected for one changelog.
And then
no, something has gone on.
Is that SQL dialect real? Like that?
You know, I don't think it is. I think that one is imaginary. And also the casing for changelog file is wrong.
Oh, that's better.
Let me do that. Let me do those two things, and then. Oh, it did actually validate it. It just took a while.
It just took a while.
I don't need Docker desktop running. I wonder if that's somehow slowing down this jar, but I don't know. Okay, great. So it did.
How fast does the JVM spin up these days? I don't know.
It should be quick, especially I believe it's Java 17. It's reasonably recent. It's not an ancient Java.
That's all I remember.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw shade on the JVM.
Fair enough.
For the next little while.
It's sturdy. It can handle it. Like the runtime contract states, you know, it can handle anything you throw at it. Okay, great. So our change set is valid. Fantastic. Let's actually apply it to the database now. So Liquibase update, and I believe we could get away without specifying the changelog file, but that seems less clear in this case. So I'm just going to say changelog file equals pets.
Let's do it. Dun,
Okay.
dun, dun. Ooh.
Invalid argument. Alter table column is chipped Boolean default false. I don't think it likes the default. Boolean default false. Syntax error on line 1. Expecting close bracket but found false. So yeah, it doesn't seem to have liked. And interestingly, it's Spanner that doesn't seem to have liked.
Yeah, let me see if I can see what we did with our stuff. Based on properties, where did that come from? Oh, here we go. There's that.
One more thing.
No. So our file was very basic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Changelog file, URL, log level, liquid base hub mode off. Don't know what that is. And then include system class path true.
I think the hub mode is for when you're running it in a multi-container setup.
There you go.
But
that was it.
That's fair. I'm thinking that this may actually be an opportunity to showcase one of the features of Liquidbase being especially built on Hibernate. It allows you to update. It allows you to output all of the SQL that it is kind of like interpreting for you.
Right.
So you write your change sets in these familiar like composable concepts.
Yep.
And it translates them to the necessary dialect. But you can, I believe, either by setting the log level or by passing another flag in, have it output the SQL.
Nice.
So Liquidbase help log level.
It's literally called log level, yeah.
Oh, let's see that. Where is it? Output file, log level, yes. Log level info or fine. Let me try fine. So let me try running this change log again and then go log level fine to see if it actually outputs the SQL. That's very fine.
Okay. We get everything.
We really do. And there was an interesting line up here. Total change sets 1. Great.
Error parsing spanner DDL statement, alter table, pets add column is chipped. That's so weird. You think the JDBC driver would take care of that? Am I wrong?
It is familiar. It does seem strange. It seems like it's familiar enough with Spanner to be running its specific DDL, but then it is not enjoying the output of the default value property that it agreed to. So that's an interesting one to me. This is one I haven't seen before. But yeah, I mean, let me just, yeah, I mean, nullable false. Nullable false would be interesting. But you can't do that with booleans, can you?
Spanner default bool. Does Spanner? Cloud Spanner doesn't actually allow any default value to be specified regardless of type.
Oh.
This means the implicit default is null or error, depending on what the column specifies to not null.
Well, then that is me not understanding Spanner enough. So, interesting.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that either. You learn something every day.
That's what, according to Stack Overflow, anyway. So, take that with the appropriate amount of salt.
All right, it's the truth. There we go. We've run the change set, and I want to. One more concept I want to review is looking at the checksum, because each of these database operations are hashed and checked against checksum as you run them. So not only do you know what was run, what it was run against, and the time it was run, but you can also like calculate them beforehand and see if it would be the same if you did run it. So
Can I ask you a question? I don't know, really quick, because I'm curious. So we just did that thing. So basically, we have a whole bunch of null values for is chipped.
we should.
Can Liquibase update those values for us to something?
Yes, it could.
And to ask maybe the more complicated question, which would be, if we were to set those values to not null, how would we do that if we didn't specify the value, I guess? Or can we specify what
I don't think I understood the second question, because we can't really set them to null in any case, right? It's a 1-byte field and Spanner doesn't allow nulls. So
Spanner doesn't allow nulls?
Isn't that what we had seen on Stack?
So Spanner doesn't allow defaults.
But
the implicit default is essentially null, if I understand it correctly.
I see.
Big grain of salt.
And I would imagine with a 1-byte field because I'm assuming that the Boolean is a 1-byte field.
Yeah.
If it is null, that has to be false, right? So it feels like an inferred default.
Not necessarily.
Let's see. Select star.
Sorry if I'm ruining your flow.
No. Let's. We're figuring this out live.
See, it's just empty.
No, you're right. It's just empty.
Yeah. And so if it was not null, A, would it complain? But B, would you need to do like a 2-step kind of process where you would create it, have a Liquibase thing that goes, go update everything to false, and then alter it again to make it not null?
Excellent question. I understand the question. So there are 2 ways to do it. One, you could just let the change set fail. You could just let it fail, and then it would say, "I failed to run this," and it wouldn't alter anything.
Okay.
Alternatively, you can have rollback logic supplied by Liquibase. So that's another area that I wanted to get to at some point. But rollback workflows allow you to say, try doing this, and if you encounter an error, try to resolve it by doing this. And so in database management systems where you, like say in SQL, this will be okay, but in Oracle, it requires a specific timestamp. You can say in the rollback, try to grab that timestamp and insert that instead and see if it goes through. Which I think is fascinating. So there are rollback modes. There's also a way to just supply rollback logic.
Oh, actually, I think I just looked up exactly what it was that I was looking for.
Yeah.
So here, I'll send you this in private chat so you can see it. But basically, I was like, okay, if you are, say we did that add column, right?
Yes.
But we didn't want it to be null.
Yes.
How do we specify what the value should be for this new column for all the column types? It does seem like there is a where are we on the column thing? Oh, see, it says default value. Maybe there's a value Boolean. Say, for example, also has a value computed, value date, value numeric, which is the value, or say we would use value Boolean, the Boolean value to set the fields in the column 2. So we're not adding a default value, but it would actually be, in theory, my theory is it's going, okay, I'm going to create this is chipped column that's not null. We'd add the constraint of not null. But we could also provide a value Boolean value of false. And however Liquibase would do it would be like alter the table, but also set everything to false.
Interesting.
Rather than a default value, which is not, because we don't have default, we can't do defaults, but we could do like set it to this, at least initially, for all the data that you currently have in that table.
Let me see that. Let me see that message, because the way I would interpret this request is like I would do 2 change sets. But let's see this other path.
That being said, we've already found stuff that the Spanner wasn't super happy with, even though Liquibase allowed us to do it. So
right.
That's a whole other thing.
Oh, you know what? I'm also seeing. Okay, so I'm seeing the page that you sent here.
Yeah, I sent you a link to the exact spot with the text too. But that goes, yeah.
I don't think that I don't think that survived. Oh, there we go.
I do like the link to specific text.
Yeah.
CLS value Boolean.
The Boolean values just have fields in the column too. The actual string value. Interesting. I have not used value Boolean, but I'm also seeing that default value Boolean is another option.
Yeah, but I'm assuming what that's actually doing is setting a default for the column, whereas what we're actually doing here is not actually the default, right? Like if you inserted a whole new record, you would have to specify the Boolean. But what we're actually saying is just for the records that currently exist, set them to this for now, like false.
Let's see that. Let's try this. Now, this is in
column.
This is in column. Yeah, okay.
So it should be an attribute on the column element, I expect.
Yeah, but not during an add. It would be during, so let me make a new change set.
Let's change that or change that.
Or...
So I guess we could, I mean, at this point, we could change set our thing to make is chipped, not Boolean.
Or
actually, not null.
I think I'd like to try rolling back. Let's try, because the use case we were talking about was doing this on creation of the column.
Yeah.
So why don't we just try that? Let me just, undo the change, and then we'll.
Oh, how do you undo the change? That's very interesting. Okay,
there is a way to do rollbacks.
Go down that path. That sounds cool.
Okay, let me edit our. Change set here first. Value Boolean. False. And let's do a rollback. So you can initiate rollbacks like manually, I believe through the CLI, or you can specify them usually as failure logic in a change set.
You were saying, yep.
But I mean, let me see if I can just do a rollback. Yeah, let me do the rollback manually here. I think it makes more sense. Rollback. So you can list your change sets, liquid base history to list the change sets. And then we do have a generated, we'll have a generated ID for it. We also have our set change set ID.
Oh, interesting. So I'm going to also assume that change set information is stored in the database as a table, and Liquidbase kind of just manages that for you.
Great question. So earlier I did mention that there's a change log lock, and so this is when Liquidbase is running Liquidbase, it creates these two tables, and they are just from the management of Liquidbase. The change log lock is making sure that only one agent from Liquidbase is running at a time. And so it's just like a little lock column, either locked true or false. That's all it ever is.
Got it.
When Liquidbase is running, it's true. Otherwise, it unlocks and it's false. And as far as the change logs, that's where that's where it stashes the hashes, like the checksums for all of the change sets that were executed, the files that they were executed against, time, all that. So as we roll this back, I wonder if it'll create another record for us here. Liquidbase rollback. I believe it will.
Cool.
Liquidbase rollback. So it says the change log file is required. Let's do that. So we have default value false. Liquidbase rollback. And change log file is pets. Change log.xml.
And so that's just going to roll back the last one?
Yes.
But no, tag. Can you specify which one?
Tag. I thought it would step through the whole file, but yeah, the tag is 1. That's the ID that we're working on.
Yeah, so that makes sense. You would be like, which one do you want to get rid of in this file? In theory. Ooh, that looks good.
Okay.
Okay, so if we look at our table now, that column should be gone.
No, it didn't like the checksum. So it's saying that because the file is different now than when we run it, when we ran it originally, it can't.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
So we need to put it back the way it was, which is no default value.
Is that what we had? Yeah, there's what we had.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was no default value.
Let's see.
That makes sense, though. You're like, what did you do to the file? I'm not going to let you do that.
And you are supposed to ideally leave them tag 1 in the database. So let's see. Is there another way to specify? Rather than tag, label. Yeah, we could use label filter. Let's use label filter.
Okay.
Because the label is chipped. Filter is chipped. Tag is missing. So
it still requires a tag no matter what.
I didn't think it did, but let's see. Database tag require. You do have the option of tagging your database.
Do you have tag in that XML file somewhere?
No, we have not tagged our database yet.
Change log, change set, table name. What about in the original snapshot?
In the original snapshot. Oh yeah. Generated. There's no tag in here, but it does have an ID.
Oh, what is that then? Or are you tagging? Is a tag arbitrary?
No, it's a specific concept. IDs are arbitrary, labels are arbitrary, but tags are specific. They're created and.
If the tag name is unknown to you, you can find it in the database changelog table.
Can we? It's blank. It's blank because we haven't created a tag before.
Then tag equals blank.
Tag equals blank. Let's try that.
Or dash, yeah, exactly. It hates you.
It truly, well, we can, I think there are also commands like rollback 1 change set that are like more directed. One change set. Rollback 1. I thought that was a command.
Change set author.
It's Aaron, so change set.
Yeah, roll back 1, change set. There we go.
Author. I believe that's what I put, right? Change set ID. Okay. 1. Change set path. It's right here. Excellent.
Hello. Here we go. Bum bum.
Oh, it's a pro feature. No. Well,
sad.
Yeah, interesting. I think we're going to go ahead and cheat and do the thing that you're not supposed to do.
Go ahead and delete it.
And just delete it. Just pretend it never happened.
Alter table or whatever.
Is it just drop? No, alter.
Alter table. It'd be alter table. Yeah, you still have altering table. I remember that much. Delete column?
Oh no, I want to drop the database change log record.
Oh, there's no like right click delete in there. Oh man.
Let's see. In the Spanner Studio, I don't want to drop the table. I want to delete this record.
Yeah, it's not gonna do it. All right. Just delete from database changelog where ID equals 1. Although technically you could have deleted everything and
Yeah, I mean delete star from database changelog. Play me out, Gemini. Oh, okay. Just from.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes. I remember SQL. Oh my god, there's so many things I haven't touched in so long.
Google SQL specifically is always a little bit.
Must have a where clause. There you go. No, put it at the end. Yeah, delete from database changelog where ID equals 1.
ID equals.
That looks like it should work. What? Database changelog.id.
ID equals 1.
I'm matching what?
Yep.
That's what we did. We did that. Originally. Oh my god.
Maybe it doesn't actually have access to the. I don't know how. Interesting. Well.
Wait, what's the type on the ID? Is it a text?
It's an int.
Are you sure?
Yeah, let me go check.
That's the pets column.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. No, you're right.
You want database changelog?
No, it is text.
It is text. So you'll want the exactly.
ID is text in changelog, but it's an int for the pets column. That explains it. Okay, good catch. Great. So we've deleted the one changelog, and I'm also gonna alter the table. Drop column is checked. Fantastic. Now we're going to run this again. And we're going to add value Boolean. That was the...
Value Boolean, let's say false. And let's set it to not null. Can we do that as well?
Not...
Is that a constraint?
It might be a constraint. Constraint... Default value constraint name.
No, I think you'll have to... I think it'll be I feel like... Oh, I just closed it. I feel like it's a sub-element inside column, maybe?
Could be.
There you go.
Default value false.
No.
I feel we just want to add the default value, right?
I don't. No, I want it to be not null.
Not null.
Or nullable equals false.
False. Yes.
Unless you can do that on the column, which you might be able to.
I thought you could do it on the column. Nullable.
No, I hate to.
Nullable, false. Nullable. I thought nullable was a... No. Well, let me see. Database default, not nullable. Add not null constraint. That's what it is. Is that what it is? Yes, so it's inside the change set. Add not null constraint. So it doesn't belong within the column, but it is within the change set here. I can just close this out and go add not null. Maybe that's not. Add not null constraint. Pets is chipped. Seems mostly valid. Let's validate it.
Look right there.
Invalid content. He doesn't like the add not null constraint. Oh, maybe it does have to be within the column.
There's an add not null constraint, but that's not what we want because it's a change. We're creating it from scratch.
I think that is the way to do it.
Oh, no, there. So there's a constraints tag?
Yes.
Yes. Inside it should be constraints inside there.
Yeah, we did have constraints.
Where's constraints go?
We can have it inside the column here.
Inside the column?
Yeah.
That doesn't look right. Unless it's complaining.
It's complaining about missing that. That's what it is.
I see constraints. Column. Yes, it should be there. And then just nullable equals false. And the column. There you go. Constraints. There we go. Done.
It does
Done.
do it. Let's try it.
Yep, that should be right, according to the docs anyway.
Yep, it does seem to think it's valid.
There
Okay.
we go.
And I wonder if this would be equivalent to another command that would be value boolean, default value boolean. But let's just try this out. Liquid base update. Change log file pets change log. And wow, time is flying here.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, if we can get this, I'd like to generate a diff as well. All right, we have updated our instance here. And let's see what we've got. Preview data. Is chipped false? We have a whole bunch of unchipped pets.
There we go. Ah, it worked.
Yeah.
You should be chipping your pets. We probably should have defaulted it to true in retrospect.
We definitely, yep, we're setting a bad example here.
Yeah. Chip your pets.
But yeah, if we create a diff between this and the snapshot as our last act here, liquid base. Liquid base diff. Doesn't seem like any of these are required. Diff. Reference URL. Ah, yes. We remove the reference URL from our database or from our properties file. Let me re-add that. History, show history. We will grab the reference URL and make sure that it is appropriately set here.
think I don't know if you can hear that, but you can hear my wife giggling at the dog. It's very important.
It's on brand. It's on theme here.
There we go.
Oh, we've generated a diff successfully here, or we've calculated the diff here, and so well, that's not the most useful. It's comparing our reference database to our comparison database. I was hoping to compare our reference database to a change log, but it does give us this. That is the same kind of output that it would give us, where it would give you readouts for the version of Liquibase used, and if any tables or rows are missing, if any keys are missing.
It's kind of like a Terraform plan, essentially. So you can kind of see what's going on before it happens.
Yeah, it's a good like dry run checking tool. And so yeah, this has been an interesting. I think we should probably wrap up here.
Okay.
This has been an interesting journey for me.
Yeah.
Being somebody who uses Liquibase primarily as it's embedded as a Spring Bean inside of an application, it was interesting to kind of take off my app dev hat and focus on more of a DBA / like maybe DevOps person hat.
So would you normally do this as like on application startup? It goes and connects to the database and says, hey, I need to do this migration. And because you've got the locking table as well, if you have multiple instances of the application starting up, only one of them is going to apply it at a given point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. That the choosing which application runs it goes down to Spring's leader election. So whichever instance is the lead instance would be the one that runs it, and you would just go like spring.liquibase.enabled equals true, and then it would just create a Liquibase bean before your application starts up, run the entire change set as it understands it from the resources file, and then shut down. And Hibernate would output the SQL that it runs as it goes. It's just treated as like a before startup step. And so it was really interesting to sit down and go through the documentation and just figure out how to connect it to Spanner and how like treating it as a standalone agent feels, because it's still very much a Java project.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see it taken out of the usual Spring context.
Yeah, and that means like once you can use it through the command line interface, you can use it, with your CI/CD pipelines if you want to plug into that, any kind of other automation, that kind of stuff, which is also super handy.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Well, Aaron, thank you for showing me some cool stuff with Liquibase. That was informative. I learned things.
Yeah. I feel like we learned a lot together.
As always.
A lot, and yeah. Thank you all for joining us.
Next week you are going to be hosting, I believe.
It might be Luke.
Okay, that's right. You are going to be guesting with Luke
I'm
next
going to be
week.
guesting with Luke. So I'm going to be.
I 100% can't remember what Luke's working on. Totally
forgot.
forgotten.
It'll be fantastic. Whatever it is, it'll be fantastic.
Luke is great. Luke is also delightful.
Yeah.
So we highly recommend it. If you're catching us on the YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, I guess. There's probably also a registration link floating around on the YouTube somewhere as well. Either that or just follow us on the Twitters or the social medias or the somethings. And we'll definitely keep you up to date what we're doing.
We will give at least vague hints on what we're about to do.
Cool. I like it.
All right. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.